Welcome back to the Off the Field
everybody.
podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 21, and I want to start off by saying thank you for the support on the last episode. Regina and Uncle Slam, episode 20, just looked at it seconds ago, and it's at 7,000 views. That's the most we have on the channel, and we hit 3,000 subscribers, so thank you very much. Keep subscribing, liking, and sharing.
Shout out to all the bench warmers.
Today is the day you've all been waiting for, and you can already see him on screen here with Mobo. Bobby Crosby is finally in the house.
Hello.
How you doing, Bobby?
Pretty good, Spidey. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Mobo, doing well?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm starstruck right now. I can't believe we got the Bobby Crosby.
Well, yeah, it's about time we've met, Mobo. I mean, we've been acquaintances. We've seen each other before. We've never actually spoken until this moment outside of the camera. On Dodgerfilms, I talk to you before, and in bat sometimes I'll say, Mobo, you can do something. But other than on camera, we've never actually talked before.
I think I hit my first walk-off grand slam, and we just shook hands. That was it.
That was it. As soon as the cameras turn off, I'm like, get away from me.
I have my own
Scram,
trailer.
kid.
There's some moments where you've been CGI'd into the episode too. You're not even there.
Oh yeah, I know. I live such a busy life, like snowboarding in the Alps and just working on cars in Monaco.
But you're contractually obligated to appear in a certain number of Dodgerfilms videos per year, so we have to CGI you into there.
I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I can't talk about it more.
We're going to start off with our sports news topic, which is around the horn, and we actually got a few good ones from this past week. The Nuggets won the NBA Finals, and Nikola Jokic has to be the most bored person for winning the NBA Finals.
That's what I heard.
I love all the memes I ever saw of him just during each game. And like each team they faced, it was hilarious.
He could not be bothered. It's a side quest for him.
I still haven't seen any of the actual clips, but I keep seeing headlines like that he just wants to go home to Serbia, doesn't give a crap about anything about winning the championship or about the ceremony at the parade. He doesn't care.
Yeah, he wants to go home to his horses, apparently, is what I've been seeing.
Really?
I touched a horse for the first time ever a few days ago. First time
really?
ever I touched a horse.
Did you go to a petting zoo?
No, it was a fundraiser event for racehorses who have retired from racehorsing, or they just suck and they can't win a race. It's like, scram, kid, like I say to Mobo. And it was to raise money for them to learn how to, go back to school and get their degree and, have a briefcase and, Anyway, so that was the event, and I was nervous to touch a horse because did you know that horses are, gigantic?
Oh, yeah.
They're, really
9
big.
feet.
Imagine going next to a Clydesdale. That's, one of the biggest horses.
Yeah, so these were these race horses, and some of them were, pretty large and gigantic. And I'm thinking it's like a big puppy, just like a big dog.
It's going to be all nice.
And sometimes, literally that day, a few days ago, that
Just
morning, my dog
sir.
Hannah accidentally, headbutted me. And, I hurt for, an hour in my face.
Yeah.
So I thought if this horse headbutts me, my head will be removed from my neck. So I thought I can't get too close because they might headbutt me.
Oh, you definitely can't get behind them.
Yeah,
that'd be the
the
worst
kick
thing
is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have these big chompers, these big teeth, these chompers.
They're
they call
flat
them.
though, right? They're not like
It's the
pointing
technical
sharp.
Well, they're
term
lips.
for
They're
a horse's
lips, yeah.
teeth is chompers,
Yeah.
if you look in the dictionary. And anyway, so I thought, what if they just bite off my hand when I go to do a nice little pet? Hey, puppy, good pet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was calling all of them puppies, good puppies. So I just kept saying, good puppy, good puppy. And then I finally, at the end of the night, decided to touch a horse.
Mm-hmm.
This horse named Blaze. It's like, wow, it's like a real living giant.
Mm-hmm.
End of story.
JT Real Muto hit for the cycle this past week. That's
Nice.
the third this season with Cedric Mullins, and I can't remember who the other one was. Bench is cleared in Arizona against the Phillies also.
No.
Corbin Carroll was hit twice in a game after just winning Player of the Week, and that's all the sports news I got. Now, let's get to the interview here with
The
you,
juicy
Bobby.
questions. Everybody wants to know about these, Bobby.
Yes.
First, pretty easy. How did your love for baseball begin? Do you have a moment in your head to where you can call back?
Yeah, that's super easy. Game 1 of the 1988 World Series.
yes.
So I was already a little bit of a baseball fan, but then October 15, 1988, I'm 7 years old. I get home from school. My dad gets home from work, and he says, hey, I got to hook up. We got 4 tickets for tonight's Game 1 of the World Series. I'm 7. He says, we got to go. There's this gas station outside of the stadium. We're going to meet up with this guy who's going to sell me these 4 tickets,
wow.
$100 each. It's $400 to get these Game 1. This is one of the best games in the history of baseball. Possibly, in my opinion, it's one of the top 5 greatest sports moments in history. It happens, 4 hours after we're in the gas station. Buy the tickets here. So pretty good deal for $100 each. With inflation, it's more like $400 each. But anyway, still worth it.
Yeah.
So World Series game, $100 each. And Kirk Gibson, 2 bad legs. He hit a 2-run pinch hit, walk-off home run, bottom 9, 2 outs, down to our last strike. Vince Scully, incredible call. And I was sitting on the reserve level. That's the big blue level, third level above third base, fifth row, like right above like the camera well there. So I had a great looking out at the home run going right out towards right field, just perfectly in front of me. And my thought was, how cool would it be to catch that ball? So that's what really made me want to catch home runs and made me a huge Dodgers fan, huge baseball fan.
I had a few questions in between, but since you brought up the catching home runs, I'm going to get to these ones right now. Well, that answered it. What made you start wanting to catch homers? Do you remember your first one? I'm sure you do.
You mean batting practice?
Or just in general, like your first home run caught on the fly, BP, game, whichever came first.
Right. I think it was September 1995 when I finally caught a batting practice home run after going to... So from like 94 to 96, I got about 30 games each, left field pavilion.
Nice.
Prior to the year, I picked out like 30 games and went to like 30 games each. And the first like 55 of those games, like 30 in 94, 30 in 95, first like 55 of those games, didn't get a single ball in any way.
Yeah.
Even though I'm going early for BP. For like, imagine going for 50 games for BP and I was, 13, 14 and not, I was a decent catcher of the ball.
Yeah.
I just was so unlucky. Just nothing came near me. And, I knew about baseball. I was a huge fan. I was like an expert. I was more of an expert then than I am at any point in my life since then, probably. I was like at my peak of my knowledge about baseball, and I knew every player on every team. I could name you the first and third base coach from like
I've literally been
teams.
telling people from past episodes in 2007, that's like when I first got into baseball, I could do that same thing.
Yeah.
I could name everyone.
Yeah, I knew everything. I could tell you, top prospects even back then. Anyway, so I know like where to position myself in batting practice for all these players, and just I never even like dropped them. Nothing ever came near me somehow.
Yeah.
In, like 50 games. Anyway, long story short, Marquise Grissom. I'm not even sure at this point. There was a batting practice home run. I later caught a Marquise Grissom game home run. So no, I'm confusing him. It wasn't Marquise Grissom. I'm screwing this. Roberto Kelly. Look up Roberto Kelly.
I got it.
Somebody. It was Roberto Kelly. Dodger outfielder. Anyway, he hit the first batting practice home run I caught in 95. I'm pretty sure. Does that make sense? Was he on the Dodgers in 95?
No.
No?
96.
Or yeah,
96.
Dodgers 95,
Oh.
but then he was also traded, I believe, to the Nationals that same year, Expos.
It actually might have been when he was on the Expos.
Because you have 95 Dodgers and then 95 Washington right here.
It was Roberto Kelly. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. He might have actually been on the visiting team. Might have been on the Expos.
Yeah.
This is a really boring answer. Sorry for such a boring start to this podcast. Finally caught a BP homer. Took it to school the next day. Showed Fireball. I was in 10th grade at the time.
I can only imagine a wee Fireball being like, "Whoa, Robert!"
Oh yeah. It's like, you finally caught one, Robert. I want Roberto Kelly hit it. Your name's kind of Roberto. My grandma used to call me Roberto. I also got my first ever ball I ever got in any way was a toss up from Tom Candiotti. Dodgers knuckleballer pitcher threw me a knuckleball. I told him to throw me a knuckleball, and he threw me a knuckleball, and I didn't catch this one. It knuckled way too much. I was in the front row, and it went just barely over the wall, and then I ran down and got it. That was the first ball I ever got in anything.
That reminds me of a toss-up story that happened to Javi at Dodger Stadium. Rich Hill threw him, it had to have been like at least 80 miles an hour, zooming over Javi's head. He didn't even catch it. It was catchable, but he went because he didn't expect him to throw an 80-mile-an-hour fastball at him.
Right, crazy. First game home run. May 12, 1998, which is why my email address is BobbyC512. It's from May 12.
No.
That's why. Why. You get those emails every week. We're playing softball.
Yeah.
You want to come play softball? Tell me, please, and reply to this email. Raining. Okay. Me and Fireball. Fireball's at this game. And first inning, 3-run home run. Raul Mondesi was my favorite player at the time. Hits it off Kurt Schilling.
Okay.
In the rain. It's raining pretty hard at this time. And I got to
sick.
move 10 seats down to my right. I got to go past Fireball somehow, even though I'm a big guy. And there's not much room there in the front row to scoot by him. But somehow I get by him. Fireball never brings a glove. He doesn't care about it. He thinks, even when he was
I'm sure it was empty out there with the rain.
fairly empty, but
Yeah.
I had to fight off this gang member for the ball. He was going for it too. He followed right behind me. He got by Fireball too. He almost knifed him on the way by, and then you see his arm going for it. Anyway, but I beat him out. I got a snow cone catch. So I've caught 10 game home runs. The first one was a snow cone catch. The last one was a snow cone catch.
Yeah.
I should have had a lot more. I've dropped for sadly, and several others that I just misjudged and didn't get to in time.
At least you have ones you can go back on and say you caught, though, unlike Benny, who we had that one in Texas.
Yeah, Benny had a drop. That was a pretty good story. So I was positive Benny was going to catch a home run that day. I gave him the aisle. This is July 2017, just before, a couple days before the All-Star game, All-Star break. And I'm going to all 30 parks, and Benny comes with me to Miami for the All-Star game. And before that, we're in Texas to see a game. I'm going to all 30 parks. So that was one of them. And for the previous couple weeks, I had gone to like 10 different stadiums, and home runs kept just missing me. Missing me by like 10 feet, 15 feet. None that I like dropped or had a realistic chance at.
Like just out of your range.
Yeah, they were like zeroing in on me, zeroing in. And I thought, this is the night. And I thought, but damn it, Benny's here. So I want to give him the aisle because I've caught 10-game home runs, including just two years ago in 2015. So I'm not going to, because the aisle is, and especially at this park and this setup, the aisle had a huge advantage over. Aisle always has a huge advantage because you have running room to move around up and down, blah, blah, blah. So if you're not on the aisle, it has to be right to you, basically, unless you're lucky and there's nobody near you, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, long story short, I'm positive he's catching a home run this night. So much so that we like rehearse our celebration. And in advance, we rehearse our celebration. I say, right when you catch it, because you're just going to go on the aisle here and catch it, turn around, we're going to shake hands and hug. We're going to do a handshake and then a big hug.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, yeah, we got it.
it.
20 minutes later, home run directly where I said it was going to go.
Oh, my God.
But he drops it, and it goes into the bullpen. So right when he drops it, I realize, like, oh, my God. And then he turns around, and we don't do the handshake because there's nothing to, but we hug.
Yeah.
And then, who was in the bullpen? Middleton?
Kenyon Middleton.
Yeah. So Middleton is in the bullpen, Angels reliever.
Yeah.
And he sees me and Benny hugging, and I think he assumed that we were a couple.
No.
And seriously, I think he was certain that, oh, man, the gay man dropped it, and his partner's with him, and they're sad. He's consoling him. Seriously. Yeah. And so there's all these kids around. There's all these kids like, ball, Middleton, give me the ball. And Middleton's like, I got to give it to the guy here with his partner.
Yeah.
And so he tosses it to Benny, which is very rare.
Yeah.
Which is heavily why I think he thought we were a couple, and because he's like, oh man, I don't want to be canceled over not giving it to this guy. I don't know. So anyway, so he gives it to Benny. So that was the first game home run Benny ever got. You know, he got it. He didn't catch it, but he got it. And then later he got another one that Middleton didn't have to give to him. Dodgers player for 1 year, a couple years ago. One of the White Sox. Benny got the first home run he ever hit as a Dodger. 2 years ago, 2021, and then he went to the, oh my gosh, my brain is
Manny Grandal?
No,
because that was more than 1 year.
Right-handed hitter.
Oh my God.
I'm blanking.
He went to the White Sox, didn't he? Okay, well, we'll look this up. Point is simply that Benny got another game run ball later, but he still hasn't caught a game run on the fly.
Yeah. Benny also has the worst luck leaving his seat, and then a ball.
Well, but can you really call it luck? The problem is, now I can't, I'm not criticizing this much because I love food as well. But is it really bad luck when Benny's just constantly going to get a Dodger dog and a beer? No, it's like, how many at-bats of like Mike Trout has Benny missed because he's not in his seat? How about just be in your seat at the right time, Benny?
Yeah, no, I agree. There's certain batters, every team, where you just shouldn't get up at all.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and if you're talking the Angels, that's Trout, that's Ohtani.
I used to have terrible luck with whenever I'd miss a game, and I didn't miss a whole lot of games back in the late 90s to mid-2010s. It's a weird thing to say, 2010s. We really needed a name for that decade and the decade before. I used to call the 2000s the Donuts.
The Donuts.
And I tried to have it catch
0,
on
0,
because
0.
you got the 0-0. So I called that decade the Donuts, but nobody else did. Anyway, long story short, whenever I missed a game, late 90s, from like 97 to 2015, whenever I missed a game, I'd watch on TV, and you could just hear the ball clang off my seats just every time. Home runs hitting my seats every game I missed. Not, I'm exaggerating, but it was bad.
10 home runs.
10 on the fly.
What is your favorite?
Yeah, it's got to be the last one. Favorite, because Vince Scully talked about it. Learned my name because I had caught 2 in 3 weeks. And so he talked about me from having the camera, filming myself catching, and he talked about me for the Aaron Hill home run May 2nd, 2015, and then May 24, 2015, which Benny wasn't there for because it was his wife's birthday. So he wasn't there for that. But anyway, that was the best one, the final one. It was finally catching a Dodger home run while filming.
Yeah.
And it was a cool snow cone catch. And then
Is that this one right here that's based off of?
Oh, yeah. There you go. You can throw a close-up of that up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they even made a bobblehead out of it. So yeah, that's got to be my favorite.
Yeah.
And second favorite is the first one. The 2 snow cone catches, and I'm horrible at snow cone catches. I misspoke. I'm not horrible at snow cone catches. I'm horrible at underhand catches.
Yeah.
And they were both underhand catches. Well, actually, just only the last one was underhand. But I was able to catch it because it was a snow cone. Because whenever it actually hits me in the palm, it always bounces out. You know?
Okay.
I just can't quite squeeze it like that. I squeeze at the wrong time. I'm a bad chooser of
That always happens to me in
timing.
softball.
Yeah.
I'll see it coming down. I'll be like, I got it. And then Bobby just films me perfectly.
The funny
dropping
thing
it.
with you in softball, you have the Jeff effect, but fielding. Jeff can't bend his arms when he swings. You can't bend your arm when you field.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
You're the best at the bobbling catches of softball.
Oh,
They
I
always
love it.
bounce up out of your glove, and then you catch them anyway. You've done that like 4 times.
It's just the easiest thing to just, okay, I got the momentum. Here we go.
Yeah, literally. You're always like this. You're like,
You know who I'm amazed that can do it like a perfect basket catch every time somehow is Dustin.
well,
The ball's hit so right. No, he'll out of nowhere, it'll just fall in his lap.
But not remotely every
are
time.
you talking about just
Okay,
the
not-
ones he actually
Yeah.
catches?
Okay, let me rephrase that. The one he actually catches. Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly
Yeah,
good at it.
yeah.
I don't know where you
Okay.
got those.
Yeah. Funny thing
Okay,
I found out
amazing.
recently, I think this was like 6 months ago, Dustin doesn't know he's bad at catching softballs.
Huh?
Yes, no, I'm also not great. You know, I've had a lot of drops
What do you
myself.
mean? You're
I found
perfect.
out...
Anything hits you, Bobby gets
No,
picked up.
I wish. Early on, maybe, but I've
Oh.
been horrible at everything involving softball for years now, basically. But the first couple of years, I was decent, and then my skills. Anyway, who cares? Talking about Dustin here. So Dustin, you know, again, I'm bad. Just because I say, by the way, this is something people might be interested in, because everybody says. There's lots of comments, not everybody, but there's lots of comments that say, Bobby, you ever notice how Bobby's such a piece of crap, by the way, because he always complains about, criticizes everyone else's skill when he's the worst one there. If I criticize someone else, that doesn't mean I'm saying that I'm good.
Yeah.
I can be way worse and still criticize someone else. So, I mean, and I am.
Somebody makes a bad play. It's a bad play.
I'm batting myself last almost every time, by the way. I know I'm a bad hitter. I'm also a bad fielder. But if I say Dustin fails to catch a ball often, that doesn't mean I'm saying I'm better than you, Dustin. Well, I am at catching, though, a little. But anyway, but like if Andy drops a ball, I'm not saying I'm better than him at being an outfielder. I'm just saying he messed up that one time.
It's just a fact in
Sometimes
the moment.
It's funny, yeah, just a fact in the moment. So anyway, yeah, I found out like 6 months ago that Dustin didn't know that he was bad at catching softballs. And yeah, because he really seemed surprised when we were talking about it. He's like, wait, what do you mean? And we're like, what, have you ever watch one of our videos? You drop half the balls that are hit right at you, the easy ones. And he's like, oh, okay.
Just looking at him like it was completely brand new information.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, sorry, but I'm just stating facts. I'm not trying to be mean. We're just talking about how you suck.
I think that's one of the most infuriating moments to me is when I hit a ball to him and
he
he actually catches it.
Same here. Somehow he becomes amazing when I hit the ball to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and Fireball have known each other since a young age.
Yes.
Years, right?
And I thought it was high school. It's middle school?
8th grade. So April 5th, 1994 was
wow.
my first day at a new school, Oak Avenue Middle School in Temple City, California. And I just moved from Apple Valley, California. And it was my first day at this new school in the middle of the school year, April. And yeah, met him, saw him. I don't think we talked a whole lot that first day, but we became buddies shortly after that. And yeah, so I've known him for 29 years, 2 months, and 12 days when this video goes up.
Oh, we're getting to the 30-year anniversary.
Yeah, 30-year anniversry in 10 months.
You guys
April
gonna do
5.
anything special?
We're probably gonna
Nice dinner and ball game.
Yeah. We'll go to Outback Steakhouse. I think
I know he can devour a whole blooming onion by himself. I've seen it.
he loves them.
I do remember Fireball when he was on telling us one of his first stories when you two met. He remembers you being in the cafeteria, being the new kid, and drawing comics.
Yeah. Well, I did draw some of my comics, but I don't think I drew any at school. I had some of the comics with me and gave some away to some of my new friends on that first day of school. So me and my brother have been writing and drawing and publishing comics since we were little kids.
Really?
Yeah, since I was 12 and my brother was 15, we started, quote, professionally making comics, printing them in an actual professional manner, having them distributed professionally into comic book shops. Not many comic shops at the time. At the first several years, we did not make a profit or anything. It was just a losing venture. But yeah, eventually turned into a serious business of making money. Anyway, that first day at school where I met Fireball, I brought some of the comics that we had just published, just as a selling point for my friendship, I guess. It's like, hey, you want to be friends with me? I make comics. Anybody like comics? They're like, what is this crap? What's a comic? It's not 1955. New fat kid.
Wait, what was the comic that like you and your brother first started kind of like cooking up?
Well, a bunch of different ones. My brother had his own. I had my own. We never really worked together on collaborating on a comic. We just made our individual comics. Well, back then I had a stupid one called Billy Comics about this kid named Billy. It's about as as boring and stupid as it gets. About this sixth grader named Billy, and he had this bad guy, this villain named Big Bad Mike. Was the bad guy. He had this full beard in like sixth grade, and he was just always like 6 feet tall, full beard, fat, and just beating people up. And that was Big Bad Mike. So Billy had to negotiate middle school and Big Bad Mike and try to survive.
Fireball told us a memory he shared with you where you had to hop a fence.
Yes.
You landed on the hood of your mom's car.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. So I actually felt really powerful that day. And I felt really strong. And I'll tell you why. So I had a really big high and a really big low that day.
Okay.
So the big high was we found this little baseball field. We wanted to just find a field to play catch and pitch batting practice to each other, even though we had like 4 baseballs. Like, we couldn't afford to go buy a bunch of like batting practice balls or whatever. So we just, how pathetic is that as a little kid, by the way, when you have like 2 or 3 balls and you want to throw BP, so then you just have to go chase after the balls every 20 seconds. You have to go collect. It's kind of fun though.
Yeah.
But it also just like looking back, like if imagining doing that now, like we recently had a baseball practice where we only had about 15 baseballs. I wish we had a lot more. I thought I had more boxing. Who cares? But anyway, I hit a ball into like houses.
Yeah.
I hit it over. It was like a super short fence. And we had like 4 baseballs, and like Fireball hit one out, and then I hit one out. And then I think we actually lost all of our baseballs because we only had 3 or 4 and we hit them all out. And anyway, so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so powerful. Like I was like 13 and I'm like, I could be in the major leagues one day after this performance today. It's possible,
Just a random scout.
Yeah. And then I realized 10 minutes later when my mom came to pick us up and the gate locked behind us and we couldn't get out, that I'm not even a good enough athlete to like get over this 5-foot fence. So I'm probably not going to make it to the major leagues. But yeah, so it was such a struggle. Fireball like ripped his shirt or his pants or something trying to get over this fence, and then my mom had to drive up right like on like the grass to like get close to the fence. So because she thought I was going to like fall and kill myself getting over this fence. You're going to break your neck, blah blah. So then I climbed over somehow, and I remembered feeling so out of shape and so out of breath from just trying to climb over like a little 5-foot fence. And I was like, man, I hit that ball, 170 feet, but I'm not going to make it to the major leagues.
Do you have a favorite memory with Fireball pre-YouTube?
Probably something at Disneyland. We had Disneyland passes together in the mid-90s, and we were 14, 15. We went many times. I can't think of a specific moment right now. Well, maybe this isn't favorite, but just a memory that pops in my head is Disneyland. There was an incredibly attractive young woman. Me and Fireball were like 15. Walking near where they sell those like pickles now. And near the Tiki.
Near Indian Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, exactly. And we loved the Indiana Jones ride. So anyway, this incredibly attractive woman walks right by us, huge smile right at me. Mm-hmm. But nice. Fireball disagreed. He thought it was right at him. And so for no reason, for like an hour, we're just like arguing about this. It's like, no, she was looking at me. Yeah. It's like, who cares? She's not going to do anything with us.
She's long gone.
We're 15. She's 25. And our attractiveness level is quite different. And there's no scenario where anything was going to happen. But we're arguing. We're like yelling at each other. And she's looking at me, you jerk. Why don't I go to Disneyland with you, jerk? Yeah, it was bad.
Awesome.
It was bad. So,
when did you start YouTube, and what made you want to start doing YouTube?
I saw a video of batting practice in Texas. Josh Hamilton was hitting, and some random guy filmed a home run that Josh Hamilton hit that bounced off the second deck and then went into his glove, and he caught it. You don't even see the ball go into his glove, but you see the hit, and it bounces off the second deck, goes down to the first deck, he catches it. And I thought, what if and he wasn't trying to do that. He wasn't like trying to film himself catch a run. He just randomly had a camera. And I thought, what if someone was on purpose trying to actually get a good shot and filmed them catching a ball, and so I immediately bought a video camera. I'd always been into movies and TV and having a video camera. I hadn't had one in a while. Like all growing up, I'd always want a video camera and make little movies at home, blah, blah, blah. Me and my brother we had this series called Mega Penguin, where we had this penguin doll, and we put a cape on him called a Mega Penguin. I was the sidekick Bob. And we'd do this little TV show. It was actually on local cable access TV.
Oh, really?
In
No way.
1993 when I was like 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mega Penguin and Sidekick Bob. We actually might do a cartoon series of it soon. We got a theme song and everything from years ago. Want to hear the theme song?
Oh, yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay.
Mega, mega, mega penguin. Mega, mega, mega penguin.
In vigilante school, he did his time. Now he's in a cave and he's fighting crime. He has no fingers and he's got web feet. Feathered crusader on the lawless street. At an orphanage, he found a boy. Gave him weapons instead of toys. Raised him and trained him to do his job. It's Mega Penguin and his sidekick Bob.
Mega, mega, mega penguin.
And Bob.
Mega, mega, mega penguin.
And Bob.
Yeah, it's inserted later.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah.
little
Not
OTF
forget about
exclusive.
that. So anyway, Mega Penguin theme song. So I thought, what if I get a video camera and I try? And at this point, I already had season tickets for 11 years. This is May of 2008. May of 2008. 1997 was the first time I brought a video camera to a Dodger game, and I filmed in batting practice a little bit. But for some reason, I wasn't even thinking like I'm going to film myself catch a homer. I was thinking like if a homer goes to me, I'm going to have to set the camera down so I don't like hurt the camera, and then I'm going to have to like catch the ball. I just took it for like memories and everything, but not specifically with the thought of filming myself catching a homer. I did that in 97 for a few games, did that in like 03, 04 for a few games. But then when I saw that video on YouTube, that kid in Texas catching the homer, he's like a 20-year-old guy, and remind me to tell you more about that because that's the crazy aspect of this. The guy who was filming that video in Texas, he was then there when I caught my first ever game home run.
Wow.
filming.
What?
Yeah, it's the craziest story of all time. It's the craziest story of all time. Buy a camera, bring it to a game. 2 days later, it was May 6th, I saw that video, I think. And then May 8th, I've got the camera already. Amazon, 2 days shipping, I get it. Take it to a game May 8th, first time I ever took it. And then it took me a month and a half to actually get a good shot of filming myself catching a batting practice home run. And it was Torrey Hunter on the day the Angels no-hit the Dodgers and lost.
I was there.
Yeah, there you go. It's crazy. Did you go to batting practice that day?
Probably not. I
Okay.
wasn't fully indulged in being a baseball fan yet.
Well, so batting practice that day, Torrey Hunter hits me this perfect one, and I get a great shot of it going into the glove, and that video went pretty viral. I think it was on, it was some like local news. It was on Best Damn Sports Show, period, that show that was on for a while. Anyway, that was my first video that went pretty viral. Fast forward to a couple of years to finish up the thing about the Texas guy who inspired bringing the camera. May 1st, 2010, Andrew McCutcheon hits me a game home run that I catch on the fly while filming. I had to jump for it so you don't see a good shot of the ball going in the glove because I'm jumping up for it, so that makes it impossible to get a good shot. But the TV cameras also didn't get a good shot. They never zoomed in far. They were the main camera, you know, that they cut to when you see a home run ball landing. They never even came close to. They were showing like the whole freaking pavilion basically. They didn't zoom in far, and they didn't show a single replay.
Oh, that's the
So
worst.
even the TV cameras, you barely, you know, you see me jump and catch it, but like pixelated, like
Yeah.
barely. You know who got a better shot
The guy.
of that catch? The guy who inspired me to bring the camera in the first place. Him and a couple of his friends randomly decided, like the day before, for no reason, they're Rangers fans.
Yeah.
Let's for no reason go see a Pirates Dodgers game in LA and drive for 13 hours from
Yeah.
Texas or whatever the hell.
Dude, that is so fucking
And
random.
he was then they were sitting left
my
of the pavilion.
God.
He was 50 feet behind me, halfway up the pavilion, right behind my section, filming it. And got a great shot of it.
Wow.
He got a better shot of me catching it than the TV cameras.
That's insane.
Yeah. So then he sees me. So then that went very viral. Even though it would have went way more viral if TV cameras actually got a good shot of the catch, and if I got a good shot because anyway, I'm doing an ESPN interview a few days later, May 4th, 2010, ESPN First Take, doing that live interview there, and that guy's watching that, the Chandler something from Texas, this kid who inspired me to bring the camera, and then he sends me this insane message that I thought was fake. He's like, by the way, because I in that interview, I talk about him, because
Yeah.
I'm asked that same question, you know, well, what made you bring a camera? So on ESPN First Take, so I answered it the same way I did, you know, just now, and he realizes that I'm talking about him. And so he sends me a message and says, hey, not only was I the kid who inspired you to do that, but here's my footage of your catch. I happened to drive in, you know, like that morning just for like no reason. I was like, why did you want to go? He's like, we just thought, hey, let's go. Rangers fans. It's Dodgers Pirates game.
Yeah.
First time they've ever been to California.
Yeah.
They're like 23 or whatever.
I'm actually like dumbfounded right now. I have
No, it's the craziest thing of all time. It's the craziest.
That's
thing
creepy,
ever.
but it's so you can't make it up.
No.
You really can't make that
No.
shit up.
I was certain he was lying until I saw the video. I'm like, oh, okay.
Did he just randomly email you?
Yeah. It was a direct message on
Instagram?
YouTube, a private
Oh,
message
okay.
on YouTube. Yeah, so I look at that video that he posted of my catch, and then I look at his other videos, and I see his most popular one is the video of the Josh Hamilton catch on it. So yeah, so that's him. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's the craziest thing of all time.
That's just like the planets aligning. Like the universe was saying something that day.
Well, you never know. Like if I didn't catch that ball, maybe everybody would be dead on Earth.
Or it was just burning. The sun
Yeah.
exploded.
Well, the butterfly effect, every
It
little
prevented.
change, you know.
When you started YouTube, what was the moment where you realized, like, oh, this is getting serious, and you started taking it more serious?
Did you ever feel like you got that aha moment, or was it just very casual for you from the beginning?
Well, there were different stages of it. So the early stuff at Dodger Stadium was all just fun. There was no money, and it kind of very slowly built up. Like after I hit 10,000 subscribers after 5 years of it. So it's like 5 years. You guys just hit 3,000 subscribers on this podcast channel after a few months.
Yeah.
For me, my first few months, I think I had, 80 subscribers or something, And then obviously Spidey's got, 250,000 or so subscribers now. And anyway, to answer the question, aha moment, really, it was so gradual early on with the early Dodger Stadium stuff that there wasn't really any aha moment for that. In terms of aha moment, it's more about gaming videos and softball later on after the Dodger Stadium stuff, where it started to have such a huge skyrocketing of views at a specific time. The Dodger Stadium stuff would be more about just every once in a while a video would go viral.
Yeah.
It was more about viral videos. The softball videos, like essentially none of them have gone viral. And the gaming videos, essentially none of my gaming videos have gone viral. Viral is like everybody's spreading it around.
Yeah,
It's on the
news,
or whatever.
yeah.
And I had a lot of that with the Dodger Stadium stuff. I haven't had any of that with softball and gaming stuff, really.
I'm sure you know the exact number or close to it. When we started softball, when I started, I think you were at like 60,000.
A little more. I think it was
Little
at about 105.
Okay.
Because, I hit 100,000 subscribers just before the old Dodger Stadium videos ended.
Okay.
It just hit 100,000.
Okay.
So, and then I think I got a few thousand more between then and starting softball in, I guess November. We first started playing. The first time we ever played softball was October 31st, Halloween morning, 2015, but posted it the next day, November 1st.
The Dodger videos ending a reason why you wanted to start the softball games? What was the push for that?
I was on the Dodgers subreddit, our Dodgers, reddit.com. They had a community for Dodgers fans and also for Angels fans. And the Dodgers subreddit and the Angels subreddit would meet up to play softball games. I think I went to 3 of those.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of those in like 2015. And I even posted a video in June of 2015 of just highlights of one of our meetups.
Yeah.
And I was trying to catch a home run over the fence. I mean, I played a little left field too, but then at one point I was like, I'm going to try to catch a home run in softball.
I think I've seen a clip from that video. You're in left field, right? Beyond the fence?
Yeah. And I had to run into the street to get away. I never actually caught one home run in that game. But anyway, that got a decent amount of views. And I thought, maybe we should try softball for videos. Me and Benny could get together and play some games and see how that works. So that kind of inspired that. Those Reddit meetup games made me think, let's try that. And my brother had been telling me for years to do gaming videos. My brother had been like imploring me, telling me do gaming videos since like 2008, basically, forever. He said do gaming videos, and I, like most people who have similar stories here, they say, oh, who's going to want to watch me play video games? And so I didn't do that forever, but then started up that in January 2016, just a couple months after softball started, and both of those kind of took off. Sort of the gaming videos kind of took off right away, and then softball took off a couple months later, like in late March, early April 2016 is when the softball videos really started getting tons of views, and that's kind of when to answer the question, the earlier question about the aha moment, that was basically that moment.
Yeah.
Kind of like 1 week. It was the end of March, early April. I put out, I think, 5 softball videos in 5 days to end the first off season and start the first on season. And all of those videos got over 1 million views.
Yeah.
Not that day, not in one day, but
Building up.
Yeah, but within like 6 weeks, they like all had over 1 million views. And, that was kind of the moment of like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Because it was already getting decent views. They were getting like, in like early March of like 2016, they were getting like 40, 50,000 views. And then suddenly to get, over, and that was like, cool, that was great. But then suddenly having to get in the millions, it was like, this is nuts. This is crazy.
Yeah. As the man who records it, edits it, sees all the footage, you probably have tons of memories you could pick from, but what are some of your favorite moments from our softball games, whether it be personally or just moments that were insanely epic that are up there for you?
Yeah, Gabe's first home run,
Yes.
possibly my favorite. That was just insane. It's crazy how long ago that was now.
I know.
But it felt like there was forever of a build-up to it.
Yes, it did.
But somehow it's already 6 years ago, almost
Yeah.
6 years ago. That was what, October?
He was literally saying that to somebody, I think this past week, and they were like, it was not that long ago. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's
it
almost
was
6 years
though.
ago. October 2017.
Yeah, he was like 11, right?
No, he would have been 12. He would have just been 12.
12.
Yeah, 12 and
But
2 months.
and when he was talking about it recently, people were saying like, "Oh, you were like decently big back then." But if you watch the video, he's still like pretty
Dude,
small.
Oh, he was tiny.
The tiniest person.
The bat looks like a club in his hand.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, he was barely bigger than Lumpy is now, basically. He was, well, I mean, he was, when he first started playing, he was 10, and now Lumpy's going to be 10 in 6 months. Or,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so in
remember
6 months,
just-
Lumpy's going to be the same age as Gabe was when
Oh,
Gabe.
I always use that on Cowboy Jeff because I'm 26 right now, and I'm like, oh man, I'm in the later part of the 20s. But then I look at Cowboy Jeff, and then I'm like, he was this age when he started.
Yeah. Yeah. First off-season championship that I won was
Oh
pretty
my
amazing with that amazing walk-off from On Kit. Pretty epic moment there.
Yes.
Yeah, so
think
hard to top that.
The first championship game ever was just the way Soup pulled off that deke.
Yeah, Punisher. Yeah, a lot of people watching this like, who's Punisher? He
Yeah.
played in like 10 games with us, and the first offseason. I got a funny story about that. So he made a bonehead play, basically, which a lot of people blame me for. But he made a I told him score, you're scoring, but then I changed my mind
Yeah.
before he even got to third. I yelled, no, stop!
Yeah.
But then everybody says, Bobby, why'd you send him? But I tried to stop him. But anyway, basically, long story short, if you haven't seen it, this guy named Punisher who looked just like Fireball, basically. Big muscles, strong guy. He made a bonehead play to cost me in extra innings the first championship for the offseason, first ever offseason championship. And Soup made a great play to deke him, to trick him, to make him think that he didn't have the ball when he did. And anyway, every comment on that video, that was back when people used to actually pay attention to things in life, because nowadays everyone like, well, you're watching or listening to this, you're also on TikTok and you're watching an old episode of Breaking Bad or something. You're doing 4 things right now. You know it, right? You Tell us in the comments what different things you're doing right now.
Who's the worst offender of that at softball? It's Kershey.
Oh, Kershey's pretty bad. Yeah, Kershey's always doing a million things. So anyway, back then people weren't that bad at such things. Back then people would actually pay attention to something. And so they were actually paying attention to the video they were watching of softball. And there were a trillion comments wanting to murder Punisher for making this bonehead play. People cared about who won the games more back then.
Yeah.
They were either Team Bobby or Team Benny, and they were Team Bobby or Team Benny, for real. They cared. They wanted me to win or they wanted Benny to win. Anyway, so the Team Bobby fans really hated me then. They basically switched their allegiance to Team Benny after that. And they really hated this kid Punisher, he was like 30, who screwed up. And you wouldn't believe the vitriol. That's a great word.
Yeah,
vitriol.
I need that for vocabulary word of the week.
Vitriol, the anger, the hate, the dirty words that were said about Punisher. I had to delete so many comments. And you might be saying, "Oh yeah, I remember." No, you don't remember, because I didn't let them go up. I moderate the comments, and you wouldn't believe how many death threats he got.
Oh my god!
Stop.
Oh yeah. Over a softball game. It was like, if I ever see Punisher, he's never going to use his eyes again. He's never going to see anything after that.
Dude.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. So Punisher, he doesn't show up for a few weeks. He missed like the next couple weeks, and we thought, oh, he's never showing up again because of the comments, you know.
Yeah.
So then he shows up, and we're like, oh man, sorry about all those comments. He goes, what comments? he didn't watch the video. He didn't know. He just plays for fun. He didn't give a crap. He didn't know about any of the comments.
Yeah.
We told him, and then he never showed up again.
Oh my god.
That's the story of Punisher. He read, and he didn't even get to read the ones I deleted. So it was even worse than you thought, buddy. If you're somehow watching this podcast right now, I don't think he's ever seen a single video of Dodgerfilms. He just wanted to play softball.
That reminds me of a similar situation when I got hit in the mouth. I was obviously very angry because I just lost 2 teeth. And I picked up a water bottle and I threw it at the bullpen. But Dallas was in the bullpen. Dallas was a young kid back then. He was, I don't know, like 8, 9.
Straight up just a wee lad.
Yeah, a baby. And I remember
He was like 7.
him being like terrified, and he didn't show up for like 2 months.
Because of that.
I don't know if it's because of that. We should have asked him when he was here. But after that, he didn't show up because I was only back a week later or something. And I remember him not being there just forever.
So in your anger, in your rage, your pain, you threw the water bottle at the bullpen, and he was like standing right by the
Yeah,
fence.
and I mean, I also had the bloody face, ripped open, missing teeth. So
You were
probably
like a monster coming after him. Oh my! He's like, is this monster gonna kill me, Mom? I wonder if that's why he was so against hugs. I mean, what if you? Because for those of you who don't know, Dallas hates hugs for years. But then recently, I found out he's okay with them now. I guess because he's 6 feet tall or whatever, he's fine with a hug now. But back when he was a little youngster, Spidey scared the crap out of him and made him hate hugs. It's like the opposite of Olaf.
As a YouTuber, who is a YouTuber you enjoy watching?
Typical gamer.
Okay, I've seen him come
Typical
across.
gamer is my favorite YouTuber. Sorry, Spidey.
It's all right.
But yeah, typical gamer. Fortnite YouTuber, 13 million subscribers, something like that. And then he's got a few channels, but he's got another channel that's got like 7 million subscribers, 6 million. Not TG Shorts, TG Plays, where he shows edit. So it's a live channel. It's a live Fortnite, almost always Fortnite. Used to be daily. Here's one thing that annoys me about Typical Gamer. I love you, Typical Gamer, but one thing that annoys me is I think he still always says at the start of his videos, his live streams, he says like we're daily Fortnite live streams or whatever. But now
daily.
they're not even close to daily anymore. And now it's just like my and welcome road. He just says it out of just like, you know, he just wants to say the same thing every time. But they're not even close to daily. He used to be close to daily. It used to be that he only missed like 1 out of every 20 days or something.
Yeah.
Now, oh my, he's on vacation all the time. He's living up the good life now.
Yeah.
But he's still saying daily live streams. You know, just like once every 3 days now. That annoys
Sounds
me.
like a Cowboy Jeff type.
Oh, it's not that bad. Nowhere near that bad. At least this guy's rolling in it. Yeah, so Typical Gamer. I like Mr. Beast. I've probably only seen 20 of his videos, but I don't watch a whole lot of YouTube. I don't listen to many podcasts. Benny, of course. Andy. We got a lot of people who don't post many videos. Fireball has a channel that he posts like once every 3 months on.
I'm sure he's retired, but Cap also at a
yeah,
point.
yeah, Cap. Uncle Slam
Yeah.
used to make videos.
Dustin made 2.
Was it just 2?
Just me
I
too.
think it was like 4 or 5.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It might have only been 2.
I only saw 2, and that was the NBA ones.
Yeah, that was all I saw.
Yeah. A lot of people give up early, you know.
I think it's because they realize it's harder than they think it is.
Yeah, well, I think they're expecting a certain number of views, too, and when they don't get it and they realize that it's tough to get it, they say, screw this crap.
Even now, like Andy's one of our most popular guys, easily. And right now, I think he just hasn't been caught in the recommended for people or something.
Yeah,
And
the whole algorithm thing, it's hit or miss. It's luck. It's, I mean, it's secret. It's a secret formula for the algorithm. We don't know. We can only guess why YouTube recommends certain things. And they tell us some things, like they say watch time is very important. And, so who knows? And you go through ups and downs with it.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm going through quite a down period. With the algorithm.
Really?
Yeah, I got some weird stuff going on this year, too.
I've kind of, how I've put it in my head since I started is us being a sports channel, mainly baseball, is when baseball season starts, everything starts to get hot. But I have had that feeling this year where it doesn't feel as hot.
Yeah, it varies from year to year and from month to month and week to week and day to day. Like, things were going pretty good until, like, 3 weeks ago, basically, for my views. And then all of a sudden, like around May, like 27, just views started being about half of what what I'd normally expect for this type of year, for this type of
Yeah.
time of year, for no particular reason. And yeah, frustrating. Also had some just weird numbers this year with like the RPM, the revenue. And yeah, it's been an off year, but it's coming after a couple really good years.
Yeah.
So, and then 2020 was horrible because of the pandemic and everything,
Yeah.
and it was kind of nice to see it come back and be normal again for like 2021, 2022. So I don't care too much because I figure it's just a cycle that the algorithm changes. You never know, it'll come back around. And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask both of you guys as content creators, did the 2020, like, I figured it'd be easier, like you could see numbers kind of grow more, or just because people aren't going out, they'll see more YouTube. You guys didn't see that like influx of people?
Well, I'll tell you exactly why. No baseball season until July.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what. Well, there's two big things that hurt things for YouTubers like me and Spidey is one, no baseball season. So that's what specifically hurt me and Spidey, the delayed baseball season. And two is what hurt everybody is the revenue was way down. The RPM, the revenue per 1,000 views, Roman numeral for 1,000 is M. So anyway, that went way down to like almost nothing, for a while.
Wow.
So even if we were getting views, it wouldn't matter because wouldn't matter too much because you're making no money off them basically.
I was gonna say the year after the pandemic or 2022, I had my best year.
Oh yeah,
Like gaming videos, Road to the Show were doing amazing
Yeah.
compared to what I had seen in the past and everything.
Yeah,
No-
2021 was really good, and
Yeah.
2022 was good also. Yeah, things stabilized. Things got back to normal. But yeah, with main problem there was no baseball season. So like June's normally huge, and then June was nothing. Like my June of 2020 was like 5% of what it normally is.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that whole year basically was just a
What I
loss.
was grateful for during that time is I've been posting every day since 2018, 19, and luckily we do video games. Bobby does, I do. And so luckily I was still able to make videos through video games during that year, where some people who rely on having to go out and
Right.
so I had already been doing video games, and everybody in the crew who does YouTube had, so
Yeah.
that was nice to be able to still make content from home.
I just basically posted nothing for for most of that whole pandemic period. The first year of it, I did not post much at all. I just took a break. I've been taking lots of breaks. Lately.
People go nuts in the comments when you take like one of your breaks. They're like, "Where's Bobby's?
Oh.
Or, is he done?" And then I'm like, "It's just a break." Like especially in December when baseball stops. So,
Did you say December?
Did I? I don't know.
Baseball does not quite stop in December.
Well,
October World Series usually is late October.
Well, I
early
know, but I'm
November,
saying
of
that's
course.
usually like when you're not posting.
Yeah.
Like that time of year.
Yeah, lately I usually don't really post much after the 2021-22 off season. Softball was one video. I think it was literally just the. Now that was a big COVID time too, but it was literally just the Halloween special, which is always opening day, game one for the off season. That's all we posted that off season. We should have had an award ceremony just for that one game. That would have been
That would have been great.
hilarious.
Immediately after, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the awards ceremony.
Yeah, exactly. We've had one game, and let's now give out 37 awards for what we just experienced. Yeah, so that was heavily because of the pandemic, though. We barely even met up and played. But also, more so in recent years, we'll meet up, and sometimes we'll play one film game and then play an unfilmed game, and sometimes we'll even meet up and just play like one unfilmed game and go eat or whatever.
I want to go back to a topic we were talking about earlier, and that was comics. You and your brother said you started at a very young age. Right now, it is Keen Spot.
My brother was always into comics. He always used to love drawing, writing comics, and I was never a very good artist, but I'd kind of tag along and make my own comics too. But I've always loved movies and TV shows, and I've wanted to work in that field since I was, a little kid. So I kind of saw comics as a way to tell stories, to kind of help, even at an early age, kind of to help work towards making movies and TV shows. And then later on, in the mid-2000s, I started making graphic novels based on my movie ideas, with the main goal, really, of that being a helpful selling tool to Hollywood, to sell the ideas to Hollywood. It's better to have a comic book than just a screenplay. So so that was the goal for that. But yeah, anyway, so the year 2000, we started up a website called keenspot.com with a couple other guys. And that was a network of web comics. Web comic is just a comic you put online.
You reached that goal recently, these past couple of years. Marry Me, a comic you were involved in heavily, got a movie.
Yeah, yeah, finally. I first wrote it 2007, 16 years ago, February 14th. It's a romantic comedy comic, and I put out the first page of the web comic online. The first page went up February 14th, 2007. And exactly 15 years later, it was the #1 movie at the box office, February 14, 2022, the movie based on it, starring Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. So that was really cool. It's apparently the first English-language webcomic to ever become a feature film.
Really?
Badass.
Yeah. There's probably literally been like over 1 million English-language webcomics. Well, maybe not 1 million, but at least like 300,000-400,000. So it's pretty cool to be the... But I'm about to not be the only one. Some comic called Nimona, I think, is about to be an animated film on Netflix. It's coming. Excuse me, coming out shortly.
You got to visit the set
Yes.
of Marry Me. How was that?
That was pretty cool. 3 days on set in New York, mid-October 2019, 3 months before the pandemic. And that was the first time I got to read the script, too. I was not involved heavily at all, or even minorly at all in the movie making process. I sold the rights to Universal, so I was on set to answer the question. It was very cool. I got to read the script for the first time, which was interesting. Very different from the comic, completely different. They changed almost everything, which happens. I was expecting that. I already had some inkling of that from various sources.
You got to be there when they were filming the big concert scene.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. The big "Marry Me" scene where he's got the sign, Owen Wilson, and so I saw the entire filming of that scene, basically the biggest scene in the movie, and I think that was just a coincidence that worked out like that. So that was lucky.
I think one of my favorite stories from this whole thing is you talking to Owen Wilson on.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh!
He's tall as shit, isn't he? Or is he about Spidey's height? I thought he was like 6'4" for some reason. Or like 6'5".
Oh no, I think he's like 5'11".
Yeah, Owen Wilson couldn't believe a movie could be made from a comic.
Amazing,
correct? Yes.
amazing. Yeah, this was before.
You haven't heard this?
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So here's what he asked me. Owen Wilson said, "So how does a movie turn into a comic?" Or no. How does how does a comic turn into a movie?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Have you looked at like the top grossing films of all time? They're all based on comics. Are you aware
And
of
he
this?"
just got, I think, cast to be in Loki. Like not too.
I think he had already been cast. I
Yeah.
don't think they'd filmed it yet, but I think he was already cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Owen Wilson, I don't know him well at all. I had one conversation with him for 5 minutes, but he's an interesting character. Nice guy, very nice guy.
Did you get a wow out of him?
No, I did not get a wow out of it. I should have really tried to, but it wasn't my goal. But I got a nice photo with him. You can put that up maybe.
Yeah.
With him and Chloe Coleman, who played his daughter in the movie, and Sarah Silverman. And the director was very nice, Kat Coiro. She took a couple nice pictures with me, and got to meet J-Lo a couple times very briefly. Got some pictures with her. Show up on set, and the first day, I've never really told anybody this, or a couple people, but 30 minutes into me being there, they haven't even filmed anything yet, and then I hear from Elaine, from one of the producers, J-Lo's best friend, I hear that they might have to, that the movie's like not gonna happen. They're screwed because there's the fire chief or whatever is saying they can't film here this week, and this is the only week they can like film here, and it's gonna be a whole huge problem. And then I hear somebody else say like, "Oh, we'll just buy them off or whatever." So I think they paid off the fire department to not cause a problem for the movie. That's basically what I heard.
Just like go away. Go.
Yeah. I think
We'll be done soon. Don't worry about
J-Lo just like strategically dropped a few $1,000 bills or something. Anyway, so J-Lo, I assume, walks around with a few, maybe even $10,000 bills in her purse. So she probably just, Mr. Fire Chief, here's $10,000 bill.
Yeah.
Actually cost $100,000 if you want to resell it on eBay. So and then he's like, oh, there's no fire code problem here, Miss Lopez. Oh, and A-Rod was there, and A-Rod was a jerk to me.
Yeah.
No.
Dating
Yeah.
J-Lo at the time.
Yeah, they were engaged at the time, and so A-Rod's sitting there watching. He's in what they call Video Village, where we're watching the monitors. And we got headsets, so we can.
They got like
watch
the tents
scene.
right around the TVs. And
Yeah. So we can watch the scene. J-Lo is filming this scene where she's giving this dramatic speech where she's engaged to this guy who's cheating on her. Maluma played that character, who was cool. I have a little Maluma story too I'll tell you about. And A-Rod is just scrolling through Instagram the whole time. He's got the headset on, like hearing her like crying over and over again, giving the speech about her fiance, and he's her fiance right
Yeah.
now. And he's just scrolling through Instagram, chewing gum loudly.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
God.
And when I was introduced to him, J-Lo's best friend, she introduced me to A-Rod. And he didn't even look up. She's like, Alex, this is Bobby. He wrote the comic the film is based on. And Alex is sitting down. I go to get up just in case we're going to have like a handshake, because we were like awkwardly like 5 feet away from each other in a couple different chairs.
Yeah.
Like in between us, other people. So I wasn't sure if there might be like a handshake or something. I shook hands with like a couple other people I was being introduced to. And so I go to like awkwardly start to get up, and he doesn't even look up, let alone get up. He's just chewing his gum. And I say, nice to meet you. And he goes, likewise. Likewise.
It doesn't shock me at all.
Yeah, so A-Rod, that's A-Rod for you.
Yeah.
And anyway, then the Maluma story, for those of you who don't know, Maluma, amazing singer, super popular in
Me and
Latin
my homies love
America.
Maluma.
Yes. So my Maluma story is I was again sitting in Video Village like I was for 3 days there. We're watching the monitors. And then I was the only one back here in Video Village at this point. Everybody was going off to lunch or something. And Maluma comes with his entourage. He comes walking by me. The only time I saw him come walk by me. And he's got a few of his like bodyguards with him or whatever. Even though he's strong enough to guard himself. He's a muscular man. And I'm sitting there and I'm smiling as I see him coming. I'm kind of smiling as he's walking along. I'm thinking, should I say something to him? I don't know, but I'm just kind of happy. He's got this big dumb grin on my face, and he looks right at me. He walks right by, and he's like an inch away. Like we're almost kissing. He's so close, and he doesn't stop walking though. It's while he's walking. Excuse me. While he's walking by. He leans in close, almost like kissing me, and he goes, hello, hello. Oh, that's too loud, brother. Hello, hello. Just right in my eyes, almost kissing. Hello, hello. And I go, hi. As he walks by, and he just keeps walking by, and that's it. And Entourage didn't say anything to me. None of them almost kissed me, but he almost kissed me. And and then J-Lo, first day, Lane introduced me to J-Lo, and I thanked her for doing the movie. She said, like, Jennifer, this is Bobby, he wrote the comic based on the movie or whatever. And Jennifer was very nice. We talked for literally 3 seconds, just a hello. I said, like, hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for doing the movie. And she said, of course, of course. And then I talked to her for another 5 seconds 2 days later. At the end of the night when she was about to leave after the third day of filming that I saw, she had just finished a tough day of, like, 12 hours filming. If you've seen the movie, the church sequence, the song called Church, where she basically filmed like a whole music video of the song Church, where it was very acrobatic. She's being lifted up and spun around in a million different angles, and she was tired, and she had just washed off the makeup and put on her normal clothes and going out to eat. It was kind of interesting right before that, hearing her and A-Rod and Elaine discuss where to eat. It reminded me, it's like, oh my God, these are real people. These are like normal people, because J-Lo is actually like a normal, cool human being.
It's like us
And-
after softball.
Yeah,
Where are we going?
Exactly. It's like, where are we going to eat? Call places.
Yeah.
They were saying all this, like, it's like, I'll be often in softball. I'm like, okay, call restaurants. And like J-Lo's like doing the same thing. Okay, like call some places. Let's set some, where should we go? And I was like, oh, wow, they can play softball. And J-Lo actually likes softball. It's on her YouTube channel. Another channel I like, I watch at times. She has a love for softball.
You gotta get them on the team.
Maybe. So anyway, they were talking about where to eat, blah, blah, blah. And then there was this nice production assistant who gave me, I can't remember his name. This nice guy who actually gave me a script on the first day. I guess he had read the comic, I think, and liked it. And so he was super nice, and he gave me his copy of the script. So this nice production assistant was like insisting that I get a picture with J-Lo. And I felt slightly bad about it, and I kind of messed up the timing. I should have done it a little earlier probably, but we ended up getting her at a moment when she's kind of about to walk out, and he's like, "Come on, follow me," and I'm like, "Oh crap, I don't want to like bug J-Lo." But he bugged her for me, but she was very nice. First, I think she might have been a little miffed when he first like stopped her, but then when when she realized, oh, okay, he wrote the comic or whatever, which I'm not even sure if she ever read. I hope so. I don't know. But she was very nice again. I said, "Thank you again for doing the movie." She said, of course. And basically, she said, "of course" to me 4 times. Is basically all she said to me over the course of 2 conversations.
Hey, but you
yeah.
had a conversation with J-Lo.
I had
Not a lot of
2
people would get that.
I had 2 5-second conversations with J-Lo. She was very nice. I had the awkward thing where like because we went to pose for the photo, I'm like, do I actually touch J-Lo's shoulder or something? So I didn't, of course. I'm not gonna touch
The little
J-Lo's.
air hover.
Yeah, I just did the hover thing.
No hug, but just
No hug. What if I went for the
hug.
full on hug and like hit her on the back twice? Like, hug. That's what I do to softball
I can just
players,
imagine
by
just
the way.
like hug.
Yeah, jeez. Yeah, and then A-Rod hits me twice also.
In your life, I know you've traveled to many places, and us as the crew have also gone to many places.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place we've been to?
The first thought is Arizona, where Spidey had to go to the bathroom really bad at one point on the bus.
What?
You know this story.
No, he wasn't 18.
I was
Yeah, but he could have heard this story. You don't know this story?
I honestly don't think I know.
That's where the term Spidey bombs comes from. He had to drop a
No.
Spidey bomb in the toilet.
Gas station Subway
Yeah.
is not too fond of me.
Yeah.
Why the hell would you eat
He-
Subway at a gas station?
We were on the
bro?
road for like 5 hours.
Yeah. We had this driver named Lee, nice guy. And the only time I've chartered a bus, we chartered this freaking bus, and Spidey's bowels couldn't handle the bus ride. It was too long, and Spidey was getting ready to blow up the bus.
So I was waiting at the door while we were still
yeah.
driving to like as soon as we got to the rest stop, like bolt out the
No.
door.
Yeah, that's the original Spidey bomb.
And those stalls at that rest stop, they were only like this high.
Yeah.
So
people were like watching him.
literally, like you could literally like look over.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Speaking of travel, American bathrooms compared to European bathrooms, a lot of these European bathrooms full like rooms for like the stalls, which is great. They have the doors go from the floor all the way to the ceiling.
There's
where
some
no one
like
can
in
possibly-
Europe where it's just a room in the middle of a city.
I took a poop in London like that.
Yeah.
Right. So Europe is better in some ways with the bathrooms, although they charge you though often. There's
Yeah.
often coins you got to put in. Or
They do have the automatic toilets too, and all over the world it's beignets pretty much, and we're just the ones that
Yeah.
are like toilet paper.
Wait, did you just call a bidet a beignet?
Oh, I did.
no, see,
bidet,
you don't
bidet.
keep the toilet
Bidet.
thing. You,
Just Spidey
Beignets are
munching on
bomb
the
though.
toilet.
I had beignets like 2 days ago.
There you go. Yeah, bidets. I had never tried a bidet until a Paris Airbnb with the softball crew 2019. And I'm like, oh man, I've been missing out here. And the sad thing is, I had lived in a house in Burbank for a year and a half that had the top of the line best bidet in the world. And I never used it once. And then, because I don't know, I didn't like the idea of bidets. But then a few months after moving out of that house that had the incredible bidet, we go on this trip. And we're in this Airbnb in Paris, and it has the great bidet, and I use it, and I go, I just missed out on 18 months of this bliss. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And then a year later, 2020, I went back to Paris in that same Airbnb with my girlfriend, and best part of that stay in Paris was just the bidet. It was just like bidet magic.
Andy's been
Amazing.
telling us for years.
Yeah. So to
London,
actually
New
answer
York.
the question, probably Paris.
The Canada trip was fun. Too.
Oh, yeah.
Just playing softball in that massive field.
Yes.
That was the
yes.
amazing thing to me is how close everything was in Canada. Off the airport, the field we played on was across the street,
Yeah.
basically.
Right. Now, what I remember most about Canada, though, about that trip, 3 days in Toronto, May 2017, right when we get out of the airport and we're walking the mile or so from the airport to the Airbnbs, Benny points out, and of course Benny would notice this, that none of the women seem to be wearing bras. So Benny said, you seeing this? Probably. You see what I'm seeing? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm tired. I can't walk this far. And Benny's like, check it out. Check out. And I'm like, oh, snap. Yeah. So that's what I remember. So yeah, favorite. I'm just gonna go Paris. We had the cool view of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Some of us at least. We had 5 different Airbnbs. Those first 2 days and the second day in Paris for me which was also the first day for some other people. Were you one of the early?
I was early.
You were
Yeah,
early.
yeah.
Okay, so the second day in Paris, we had like 12 people go on one day, and then we had the rest of the crew, like 20 more people come on the second day. And that second day was one of the worst days of my life. Bottom 5 worst days of my life.
No.
Luckily, Andy helped quite a bit. So I think we had 6 Airbnbs in Paris. So we had one, the cool one with the bidet, that we checked into on that first day with only 12 of us.
With the restaurant at the bottom, right?
Yeah, New York.
Yeah.
Late New York.
That was the first thing we had was American food.
Yeah. It's called like.
You guys landed in another country, eat a burger?
Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah, I wanted McDonald's.
It was right at the bottom of his Airbnb.
On the second day, I had to check in to 5 Airbnbs, which were all like
running
a
all
mile around all like half a mile around the Eiffel Tower, but in different directions,
Yeah.
just circling around the Eiffel Tower. And so me and Andy thankfully helped out, and this is a long story, but I walked like 30,000 steps that day.
Yeah.
And then to end the day, well, but also even before that, I got to say, the way it works in Paris is if you have like 4th floor, it's actually the 5th floor, because there are all these different
man.
Airbnbs where like, so the main like lobby floor is like floor 0, and then it's floor 1 would be the second. Long story short,
okay.
we had all these different Airbnbs in like apartment buildings where I thought it was on a different floor than it was, and we didn't properly take pictures of like where
man.
things were, and we didn't. So like it was hard to
man.
even tell people where you're staying because we weren't even
Yeah.
sure, and we were confused, and the elevators are so small. Oh
I was
my
about
gosh.
to say the elevators are not made
They have
for
the
Americans.
tiniest elevators in the world. But long story short, tons of steps, nervous, stressful. Not only checking into the Airbnbs, but then stocking up the Airbnbs with food and drinks to make sure people aren't just dying of thirst and hunger as they come back from a 13-hour flight and they arrive from a 13-hour flight. Anyway, Avengers Endgame opening night in the biggest theater in Europe. What was the name of that theater? It doesn't matter.
Man, it was a sick theater though.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was literally the biggest theater in Europe, like the most seats for any movie theater in Europe.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, 1,000 seats or something. And we're sitting near the back row, and Cisco is right in front of me in these tiny rows. There's like no leg room, and Cisco's in front of me, which is pressing. I love you, Cisco. You know, it's nothing against Cisco, which is pressing his seat back against my knees. So my knees are just being crunched as if I'm on the worst plane ride in history for a movie that's 3 hours long. And then Spidey insists, even though we know there's no mid credits or end credit scene, Spidey says, no, there might be anyway, even though we heard that there's not. You know, there might be. There's like a chance. So we got to stay for 18 minutes of credits. And I'm so out of it. I thought the movie sucked, even though it was actually good, but I'll tell you why. I thought I slept through like 5 minutes of the movie. I slept through like 2 hours of the movie. I was so out of it. My brain was so gone from that whole day of walking 30,000 steps and checking into 5 Airbnbs and getting the food. And almost nobody's helping out other than Andy with stocking up the other. The 12 people who went the day early were supposed to, the reason why they're going early is to help stock up the Airbnbs, help me stock up. Instead, it was me, Andy, and like 2 others helped a little bit. It was supposed to be like all 12 of them. But they're like, no, we got stuff to do in Paris. I'm in Paris. I'm not going to do my job that I signed up for to help out and blah, blah, blah. So I'm dying, and then Cisco's pushing my knees back for 3 hours, and then 18 minutes of credits, and I could have I was on the aisle seat. This is way too much info, but I could have put my legs. Oh, see, I have bad knees anyway. You hear them crack. See, that's
I
my
heard
knees.
that one.
Oh, there it is. I'm right with you.
There we go. Nice.
It's usually my.
And we're all wearing our Air Force.
Try the other one. Try the other one.
No, I've known my left knee can do that.
We're all wearing our Air Force Ones, by the way. And
Look at that.
I've got
Blue suede
blue
shoes.
suede, of course. And anyway, I could have put my legs in the aisle because I was on the aisle seat, but the theater was so packed and they oversold it, and so people were sitting in the aisle. So I couldn't put my legs in the aisle
Really?
because people
Yeah.
were sitting on the stairs in the aisle, so I couldn't do that. So I was just trapped, and I fell asleep for like 2 hours, and I thought it was 5 minutes.
The thing I loved about that day, and I still am amazed by it, is Cisco's champion bladder.
Oh.
He
Oh, do you not
had to
know?
pee the whole flight. And obviously, Cisco's a big guy, and airplane bathrooms are small. He didn't go the entire flight. And then, obviously, they were off the plane straight to the movie.
Right.
And he didn't pee the entire movie.
I'm really good at that too with holding bladder. To answer a question you didn't ask, my favorite place
Non-softball?
that I've been to non-softball. I still don't know how to pronounce it though. Positano is the name of this little, I guess, city. on the coast of Italy, on the Amalfi Coast. Went there in December and stayed in this little castle.
Wow.
It sounds fancier than it is, but it looks pretty cool. It's more like this little tower that they use for like military defense purposes, like in the 1300s. Literally, you know, Lord of the Rings. You seen Lord of the Rings movies? All right, you know, there's a scene in the third movie, Return of the King, where they light fires to signal that like an enemy is coming, and it's like, come to our aid, and they light a fire in like one area, and then someone sees it at 10 miles away, and then they light their fire, and they light their fire, blah blah. It's like that. They had all these little towers, these little castles, where if they see boats coming in, enemy ships, they light their fire, and then all the other towers see it and light it to alert like the king of Italy or whatever that like enemies are coming, and they got to send their troops to the coast or whatever. So anyway, we stayed in one of those towers, like the 1300s, and it was totally epic. And then another favorite, Santorini, island of Santorini off the coast of Greece there. Well, it's technically part of Greece. It's off the mainland Greece.
That's my number one spot that I want to go.
In it, like in that church, essentially. Not actually in that church, but right within those domes. Got epic.
Damn.
And then there's a hot tub, like right out there, out front. And there are all these stray dogs that are just palling around, and you just throw meat at them, and they
That's
love
how
their
it
meat.
was when I went to Mexico. It's just stray dogs everywhere. But I thought they were going to be mean because they're strays, but they were the nicest dogs.
Santorini, same way.
Yeah.
It's really nice puppy dogs, and you give them food, and they love you. And so there's this hot tub there, and there were these 3 dogs that would hang out. This one in particular would sleep like right up at the edge of the hot tub. It was slightly cold out. It was like, I don't know, 50 degrees. And we'd put towels on the dog like a blanket, and it was just the nicest, coolest little thing. We're just sitting in the hot tub looking at the blue domes and with a nice little towel on the stray doggy.
Obviously, we're all huge baseball fans. You've completed the journey to 30. What is your favorite stadium and your least favorite stadium?
Fenway, favorite stadium. Least
Nice.
favorite, Oakland. You know, that's easy. Whatever
Yeah.
they call Oakland.
Yeah.
Ricky Henderson Field at Oakland.
Whatever it
Coliseum,
is now.
whatever,
Is
yeah.
it really
Not-
that ugly in your opinion?
It's horrible.
It's bad.
Before we move on, I wanted to ask, wasn't your original idea, because I think Cap was the one to explain it to me a bit, weren't you trying to drive across the country in your Corvette when you bought
Well,
it
not
in
my
17?
Corvette. My plan, this is after I already did the 30 parks 2017. I then wanted to do 30 parks in 30 days. Driving in a new Chevrolet Corvette C7 ZR1.
Oh, that's the baddest Corvette you can buy.
Yeah, I actually have the license plate of C7 ZR1 because I like C7 ZR1s. I still don't have one, but I have it on my truck. My Chevy Avalanche has license plate C7 ZR1, which is just ridiculous. But I'm just like a placeholder until I get a C7 ZR1. Then I'll transfer it over to that car, even though it's just kind of silly. Like, okay, I've got a C7 ZR1. What's the license plate? C7 ZR1. It's like, I mean, it's like if I had a personal license plate like on my body, it would just say like fat middle-aged man. Like, we know what it is. We can see it. We don't have to say what it is on your. It's like fat man on the tattoo on my forehead. It's like it would be this equivalent of that.
Fireball told us some stadiums he had been to that are no longer in use. Are
Right.
there any that you have? that you've
Not
been
many.
to?
Candlestick,
Okay.
San Francisco Candlestick Park. Yeah, and I saw a
you go to Old
straight
Yankee?
steal of home in the 10th inning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with Sean Dunston, I think, who was on the Giants, or no, it doesn't matter. It was a Giants-Cubs game, and
Was it a walk-off?
no,
Oh, that
so
would've
it must have been the Cubs then. It was like top 10, or maybe it wasn't extra innings. Who cares? The game went extra innings. At some point, there was a straight steal of home, but it wasn't a walk-off. We had horrible seats. It was me and my high school journalism class
Oh,
went to San Francisco. We flew up.
Yeah.
That was the first flight of my life.
oh wow.
1995. Me and like, I don't know, 6 other members, like the top like 5 or 6 journalists from the high school journalism class. We went up to this journalism convention competition thing. We went to a Giants game, and yeah, when I saw the guy taking off, I think it was Sean Dunston, taking off for home, I was like, oh boy, straight steal at home. You almost never. I think that literally might be, I've gone to about 2,000 Major League Baseball games, and I think that might be the only time I've seen a straight steal of home even attempted.
And I want to end this with a game that we've done on some previous episodes. It's MLB Grid. So I'll have Mobo pull it up. He has it on his phone. and there will be 6 MLB teams, and then it's going to be a row here, and you got to match them up like this.
Essentially, you just gotta name a player that's played for both the Angels and the Yankees.
Oh, so I just got to figure out one
Yeah.
player at
Yeah.
least, I guess. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm
Just
gonna
go per box.
Yeah.
Box.
So for
Okay, so right now I'm thinking Angels, Yankees. Who's played for both the Angels and Yankees?
Yeah.
Any throughout history, right?
throughout history.
Reggie Jackson.
Yep.
Padres and Angels.
Think for a little bit. I'll explain to the audio viewers. So top, Bobby's got Yankees, Padres, Cardinals, and then on the left it's Angels, Dodgers, Cubs.
Dodgers, Yankees. Steve Sachs.
Okay. And then
Cubs, Yankees, Rizzo.
Yep.
Okay.
Good there. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're done with the
left.
whole left. Yeah.
Padres, Dodgers, Dave Roberts.
Yep. You want a hint? I can give you Cubs, Padres.
Sure, give me a hint.
He started in Kansas City, then he was on the Padres, and he was just let go this year
Oh, right. Wait.
by the Cubs.
that should be super easy.
He's a World
but,
Series champion,
Yeah.
left-handed,
I can, my brain right now.
first
is
baseman.
So bad. Wait. Oh my God, my brain. I keep thinking Hosmer.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, my brain is bad.
So, yeah, Cubs, Padres,
Jesus.
Hosmer.
I almost said that before you even started giving a hint.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sexo Squad comes in.
It's one of Mobo's group chats.
Yeah, we need lots
shout
of
out to the
editing for
Sexo
this
Squad.
section, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They're
Sexo
blowing
Squad
him up
says,
right now.
Oh no. Oh my God. Okay.
Cardinals, Cubs.
Yeah. Cardinals, Cubs.
Catcher.
Oh.
Oh,
Wait, Contreras?
Yep.
Yeah,
There you go.
Okay.
I'm trying to think right now. Even
I
I'm.
only got it.
even
I'm
I'm-
gonna blame it on Sexo Squad. For all these-
They're going
Oh my
crazy,
God,
right?
Who gonna tell him says fuck Castillo? Gee, you're gonna tell him Castillo. Fuck
I'm gonna
you.
Cardinals, Dodgers.
Shout out to the group. They're pummeling Bobby with all these messages right now.
We usually get calls at least
Oh,
once
yeah.
during the podcast, but now it's just a Sexo Squad just blowing it up.
I think someone's car is on
Oh.
jack stands.
20 seconds.
Okay. Angels, Cardinals.
Oh, Angels, Cardinals.
is the easiest one, Bobby.
Yeah,
Come
easy.
on.
Super easy.
Waste of a contract.
Oh.
I wouldn't have given a hint.
Yeah,
It's
I mean-
so easy. 5, 4, 3,
Oh,
2,
balls.
1. There you go.
I'm horrible at that. 10
Okay.
years ago, I would have been great at it. but
Okay.
My
I-
brain's gone.
I believe that
Jeez.
was 7 out of the 9. It's
good.
pretty solid.
No, it's not good.
Even the
That was
aficionado
bad.
cap.
No,
couldn't
yeah,
do it.
Cap got 8. So
Well, that's surprising, but yeah. Should have asked me 20 years ago when my brain still worked and when I watched more baseball. Just gonna blame this one on the shift being banned. That also banned my brain from being able to think of players.
well, let's end with that question, I guess. What do you think on the rule changes?
I like most of them. I don't like the shift being banned, but
Okay.
I'm fine with the bigger bases. That seems a
Okay.
little safer, and more stolen bases is great.
I like that too.
And I love the pitch clock. Some people hate it. I think they're morons.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people that I know personally that were not watching baseball at all because of this year and the rule changes. Now they're becoming fans, and now they're supporting the teams.
But also keep in mind, in my opinion, I've never heard anybody else really say this other than me, I think, but I'm sure Major League Baseball is thinking it, but they just don't want to say it, I think, is that the pitch clock is heavily about the playoffs. It's all about the playoffs. And we're not going to even see a big impact on how it helps the game of baseball, the pitch clock, until after the playoffs, and probably even after 2 or 3 years of it happening and having 2 or 3 postseasons, because playoff games last, they average like 3 hours and 40 minutes or something. They're insane. They're so, and World Series games, there's some World Series that like average 4 hours basically with like no extra innings even.
Yeah.
They're just, there was some Yankees World Series 20 years ago or whatever where I think 2001 World Series there was some extra inning games, but all those games were like 5 hours basically. There was even a 9-hour game that was like 4 hours and 20 minutes, a World Series game. Anyway, unless you're a huge, not only a huge baseball fan, but like a huge fan of one of the teams playing, you're not going to sit through a 4-hour, 9-inning game. You're hating it, unless you're just the biggest fan in the world, which there are a lot of big fans there. Most of the people who hate the pitch clock are huge fans who don't realize what it's for. It's partially for them because, they're going to enjoy it more. They think they're going to enjoy it less, but you're actually going to enjoy it more when it goes faster. But it's not for them. It's for the casual fans who have it's actually for the non-casual fans. It's for the fans who aren't casual fans yet, but they have a chance of becoming casual fans. That's what the pitch clock is for. It's specifically for them, in my opinion.
When it first was announced, I hated it in the off season, but now that we've gone into the season and I've gone to plenty of games now, I don't mind it at all.
Yeah,
I honestly
yeah.
don't even notice a difference.
Yeah, but again, it's not for you. It's for the people who
Yeah.
don't really care much about baseball, but have a chance of caring about baseball. And if they have a 3-hour World Series game, because people are watching in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The audience baseball is trying to attract, the new fans they're trying to attract, they pretty much only watch in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They watch the World Series. So and the World Series are the slowest, most boring, horrible games currently. So the pitch clock, everybody keeps saying, oh, but let's get rid of the pitch clock for the playoffs. Morons. The whole point is the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what's going to actually have it be an advantage to baseball, the pitch clock, and gain fans, because people, the non-casual, potentially casual fans who tune into a World Series game now are going to see it moving faster and go, oh, I kind of like this. I actually want to watch more. Whereas in years past, with the pitch clock, without the pitch clock, they would not do that. They'd switch to watching a Mr. Beast video after waiting 2 minutes for Pedro Baez to throw one pitch in the playoffs.
Oh
previously.
my God. I also agree with you on the shift because I think of it in terms of football. Like, obviously, offense is going to run a play. Defense, they're going to see it. They're going to adjust to that play.
Yeah.
Your batter comes up. You got all these stats and everything.
Right.
Shift to whatever the stats say.
Yeah.
If the batter can't beat it, then
I
do
love
better.
the shift. People talk about the shift as if it's some new thing. Shift has been around for forever. Not too many teams used. They used it against Ted Williams 80 years ago. They used it against Babe Ruth at times. Some managers.
Yeah.
It's been around for forever, and it's just so weird to say you can't go past a certain spot.
Yeah.
I don't despise banning it, but I don't like it. Yeah, I'm a traditionalist, and they might say, well, how can you support the pitch clock if you're a traditionalist? Because games used to be 2 hours long. That's why. I want to get it back to that. Tradition, it's not hurting tradition to add a pitch clock. It's getting it back to more traditional baseball, which is played way faster than it has been in the last 30 years. That's how it should be, and now is finally back there.
All right. Hopefully, we just have a bright future for baseball in general and for each of us here, Mobo, Bobby, myself. Bobby, thank you for joining us
Thank you,
on
Bobby.
episode 21.
No problem.
Yes, that was great. Like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends and family, every single person you see walking down the street. And
Let 'em know.
yeah, we'll see all of you guys in episode 22.
Take care.